Hello everyone, Jeff here again. It's Saturday afternoon as I film this, and I went to the record show this morning. And it looks like this camera's a little crooked. Here we go. It was a much smaller show than the one that I went to with Sean. It was only one room, and that room was maybe, well, let's just say it was a lot more spread out than it was than the other one was, because there were much fewer sellers, and easily half of those sellers were strictly CDs. So it took me a little less time to make my way around the room. But all that said, I did find some good stuff. I didn't find any Robyn Hitchcock. Sad to say, I did not find a single album by him anywhere, but that was the only real disappointment in my search today. But I found 8 other albums to make up for that, so I'm going to show them to you right now. Let's see. First, I found a couple of Santana albums, and these were all relatively cheap, and they're all in very nice shape. I got Havana Moon. This is a... this came out in the early 80s. Havana Moon. And the title track is one that I heard on the radio a lot back in the day on the radio station that I listened to a lot. So I've got most of Santana's albums already, so this was one of the few that I didn't, so I got this one. And then, let me just pull this out of the bag. I also got another Santana album called Blues for Salvador. Here we go. This is also another 80s, I believe another 80s vintage of Santana. Blues for Salvador. And seems like I'm on a real Genesis kick here lately, because I found a copy of Wind and Wuthering for $5 near mint. So yeah, got a real starting to build up my Genesis collection here. It's on the Atco label, and that record looks pretty darn good, if I do say so myself, so I was happy with that. And then this next album was actually a freebie, because well, no, let me show you this one first, then I'll show you the freebie. This one is a promo copy, and here's the promo stamp right here, of the soundtrack for the movie Against All Odds. And this had, I mean, I knew the Phil Collins song on this one, which is one of his better songs, if you ask me. But it also had songs by Stevie Nicks, Peter Gabriel, Mike Rutherford. Who else? Larry Carlton. So yeah, this one was only $2, so I figured, what the hell. It was another mint condition record. So the seller that I bought the Genesis and this also gave me this album, Private Revolution by World Party. And the reason why he gave it to me, even though this was just like a $2 record too, was that he said it was new, but it had a slight warp to it. So I guess it probably looks like it has a little bit of a warp, but it's like brand new. He said it wouldn't affect playback, but I guess he felt bad selling me a warped record, so he just gave it to me. I didn't care. I said I'll still take it anyway, and I'll take my chances. What the hell? It's free, right? So this was the first album by World Party. This was Carl Wallinger's band after he left the Waterboys. There he is right there on the cover. And I think this is basically one of those albums where he played all the instruments himself. I don't think he had very much in the way of musical backup. So it's kind of a spare sounding album, but songs like Ship of Fools, All Come True, what else? All I Really Want to Do. Those are all pretty good songs, and in another life, I used to have this album, or I used to have access to this album, let me say. So it was nice to reacquire this one, a copy for myself. Now we're going to get to the really good stuff. There was one seller who got primarily most of my money. I didn't end up spending all of the cash that I had on hand, and because a lot of the prices from these sellers was just ridiculous. I mean, there was a copy of Odyssey and Oracle by the Zombies, which is one that I would like to get, and they wanted like 30 bucks for it, and the cover was just beat up. You know, I took a quick look at the record, and it just seemed like it was maybe VG condition. You know, it's like I'm not gonna pay that for just a VG record. Come on. What else? There was one seller that had a lot of good stuff that I probably would have bought had the prices been better. They had a couple copies of Otis Redding sings the Soul Hits or something like that. I can't remember the title right now, but they wanted $50 for it. And I'm like, and they had like 2 or 3 copies, and all of them were 50 bucks. And I'm like, why? I mean, come on, people. Do you want to sell these records or not, or do you want to lug them back home? So, and they had like some, I mean, this seller had a lot of R&B that I would have gone for. You know, they had some early Aretha Franklins. They had some, there was a copy of Live at Cook County Jail by B.B. King. But, you know, you're talking $35, $40 for, no, I'm just not going to do that. But one seller that I did come across very early on in my digging had a couple boxes full of sealed reissues that are like new. Well, they are new because they're sealed. And I found 3 albums that I'm super excited about. The first one being Black Magic by Magic Sam. Yeah. He also had West Side Soul, and he also had a live album by Magic Sam as well. And this one was only 16 bucks. So I'll take a $16 reissue sealed over a $50 original that may or may not be playable. You know, it may look good, but we all know that looks can be deceiving. So I was pretty happy to get this one. I already have West Side Soul on CD. If I had probably a little more money, I probably would have bought all 3, but I've never listened to this album before. I know this was his second album, so I got this. Let me just show you the back here real quick. This is a Delmark Records reissue, and yeah, I'm pretty happy to get this one. One of the blues greats, Magic Sam, Black Magic. And now, also in that same box was Maggot Brain by Funkadelic. Yeah, I did not expect to come across this one. This was 18, but I'll take it. It's okay. Even though it's a reissue, I will take it easily. So, yeah. A lot of people have talked this album up. A lot of people have talked up Funkadelic as a band. So, I was very happy to come across this one. And this will get spun very soon. This is going to go to the top of the pile, because I want to find out what all this is about. So, in addition to this one, my final album was an album by Eddie Hazel, who was the guitarist for Funkadelic. Now, I only got this because, who was it? DJ High Noon got a, in this contest entry for my contest, he talked about getting an Eddie Hazel solo album as one of his hardest records to get. That was one of the questions in my contest. I don't know if it was this one, but as soon as I saw this, I just grabbed it because everybody says how great this guy is. Here's the back. Here's the back cover. This is mostly an instrumental album. I think only one song has vocals on it. Yeah, there's only 4 songs, 2 per side, and only one of them has any singing on it. So this is primarily an instrumental album. But yeah, as soon as I just saw the name Eddie Hazel, and I just grabbed it. So um, kind of a chance, I guess, I'm taking on this. I'm hoping I like all this stuff. I'm pretty sure I will. I mean, I have heard the song Maggot Brain before. You know, that's a good song. So Jams from the Heart by Eddie Hazel was another surprise, and I'm hoping is going to be a pretty good surprise. So there you go. I got 8 albums. I did not find any Robyn Hitchcock. I also didn't find any XTC. I know said I was going to look for Drums and Wires for Hannah. Sorry, I didn't find any XTC at all in by any of the sellers. There was always, there was some records that looked okay, some that I thought about, but once I hit this guy and I found all of the reissues that were sealed, that's pretty much where most of my money went. All of the unsealed records were on the cheaper side, so that made up for it. Yeah, so I didn't spend all my money, but that's okay. I'm happy with what I got, and it was a good time. Record shows are fun, and the sellers were very friendly. The other people that were digging were also very friendly. This guy was asked one of the sellers if he had any Badfinger albums, and the guy's like, nah, I don't think so. So I had just seen a couple at the one seller that I had just been to, so I told the guy, I said, hey, the guy over there's got a couple Badfinger if you want, and he's like, oh, thanks, and just conversations, between seller and buyer that I would overhear and chime in on. It was always fun. And people were, this guy was talking about the Blues Brothers and how it wasn't such a great movie, and of course, my hairs were starting to go up because, it's one of my all-time favorite movies, and the seller is, the buyer's like, yeah, but that's a good, it's got great music, this, that, and da-da-da, and then the buyer's like, yeah, that was pretty good, you're right. So, of course, me being the big mouth that I am, chimed in, because on Facebook I learned today that this is the anniversary of the premiere of the Blues Brothers in Chicago in 1980, June 16th. And it was also, sadly, Matt Guitar Murphy had died just the other day, who was part of the Blues Brothers band. He was in the famous diner scene with Aretha Franklin. So, yeah, that was... So I spouted all of that info, and they all kind of looked at me like, oh, wow, really? Oh, wow. And I'm like, just pretending I'm smart, because I'm really not. I cheated. I just found it on Facebook. So, All right. I'm going to cut this short. I've got a lot of stuff to do. I've got company coming over this evening. And then, of course, tomorrow's Father's Day. So to all the fathers out there, happy Father's Day. Hope you all have a great day. Spend time with your family. Maybe get a nice dinner out of it, or a nice present or two. Even if it's just having your kids be quiet for a couple hours. That's present enough, isn't it? Yeah, All right, guys. Thanks for watching and commenting and liking. And I'll see you guys next week. Take care.